Hi, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing another little Q&A, talking about some questions. I put a question box up on my Instagram, and today we're going to be diving into the questions, answering them, talking about homeschooling, marriage, blogging, life in Dallas. So let's get into it. First question, tips to get started blogging and creating your own content. So I think the biggest tip is just to start. That's the biggest tip, I think, is just starting, putting yourself out there, not being afraid to put yourself on the internet and start, sharing things, whatever niche that you choose to go down. This is perfect timing because I took a course when I first started my blog called The Profitable Influencer, and Amanda, who is a blogger that I've had followed for a long time, she is the creator of the course, and she is actually relaunching the course. I believe she's doing a summer sale, but I'll put information about that in the description of the video. I took the course and I found it extremely helpful for me. I also started a podcast when I first started my blog called Becoming a Blogger. I'll also have that linked in the description, talking about my very beginning stages to now becoming a full-time blogger. So definitely check that out. I go more in-depth stories, tips, tricks, things like that. So all of that to say, my biggest tip would be to get started and then definitely do your own research and put time into learning about creating content, putting yourself out on the internet. How do you like living in Dallas? I love living in Dallas. I have always wanted to live in Dallas. I love, living in a bigger city, having grown up in Jackson, Mississippi. I love just having fun things to go do, fun places to eat, things to see. I really love it. We've been here for almost 3 years now, I believe. How long did it take before your blog was financially self-sustaining? So for me, I started my blog in June of 2020. And for me, being very intentional from the beginning to make it my full-time job, it took me about 2 years. And then during that time, I also obviously was working a full-time job and doing my blog. And then I believe it was May of 2022, I was able to leave my job, take on blogging full-time because I was making more from my blog than I was from my job. And so it just felt like the perfect time to make that transition. As far as, financially self-sustaining, I think that is different for everyone. I was talking to a friend who does blogging and was looking to do it full time, but she has a house and she has a child. And so I think, making ends meet in her world would definitely look different than it was for me. It was just me and Grant. Our expenses were not as big. It wasn't as big of a risk. We don't have very many expenses. Rent is cheap. We don't eat out all the time. Like our lifestyle, it was easy for me to make that transition because didn't start out living this extravagant lifestyle, if that makes sense. So I kind of knew my number of what I needed to be making to be able to make up for my job and was able to make that work in 2 years. What is your favorite area in Dallas, shops and food-wise? Hands down, Knox Henderson. Best options for shopping and walking around and restaurants all into one, definitely Knox Henderson. Who is your fashion inspo? Fashion inspo, for as long as I can remember, has always been Kate, who is a blogger her blog is Lone Star Southern. Anna Page, also a creator. I think another question was, what are some of your favorite creators? So I think this kind of goes hand in hand with that, are definitely Anna Page, Kate, Blair from Atlantic Pacific, Carly. There's so many. I could go on and on, but off the top of my head, definitely Kate, Lone Star Southern is one of the biggest influences in my life. I think I have followed her since I was probably 12 years old. Love her stuff. Okay, I got this question several times. Do you plan to, or would you consider homeschooling your children in the future? Yes. I definitely would love to do that if the circumstances were right. I think it would depend on where we're living, what the community looks like there. I think there's so many factors that go into homeschooling. If you're new, I was homeschooled, and I'm actually going to link in the description a blog post that I wrote with my mom answering a lot of questions about homeschooling, things from how do you make friends? Did you go to prom? What did your day-to-day look like? What classes did you take? How did you go to college? Did you feel prepared for college? We answer those questions in depth in that blog post, so definitely go check out that blog post if you're interested in hearing more about my homeschooling experience and kind of what that looked like for us. I think homeschooling looks different for literally everyone all across the world. And ideally, yes, I think I would love to do that, but it would depend on so many things. And I think it depends on the child. I think it depends on the parent. I think it depends where we're living. Like I was homeschooled pretty much all the way through high school. My brothers both ended up going to school. Everyone's case is different, and school is great, homeschooling is great. Everyone's path can look totally different, and that is great. Do you have a system for staying consistent with blogging / all the content? I think I did used to have a really good system. Currently, I don't feel like I have a great system. It just gets to be a lot, and it's all me. Like I am the sole person in charge of everything. Grant helps me with my YouTube videos, obviously, and a lot of financial things, and he helps me a lot with that. And then I have a management team who helps me with brand partnerships. But all of the content itself is all me, and I think the only kind of system that I have is I just stay on top of things by making lists, keeping a Google Calendar. Something that I learned a lot about in the Profitable Influencer course was how to manage my time, how to stay organized, how to keep track of things. And so I really need to go back and refresh myself on the course, because I think since I've been doing this full time for a year now, I've just, kind of been figuring out what works best for me, what my days look like and stuff like that. So overall, no, I need to work on that. Was it hard adjusting to living with Grant? I'm moving in with my fiance at the end of June. No, it was not hard adjusting to living with Grant at all. Grant and I got married in 2020. We dated 9 months, got engaged, were engaged for a year and got married. We did not live with each other before that time. And so I think we were just so glad to finally be together and just have our own space together and be together. And, I think during that dating time when we were dating, like we would go visit his family and stay with his family, and he would visit my family, stay with my family. And I was very familiar with his habits, cleanliness wise, hygienic wise, could see his habits, the way he would help do the dishes and how he would take out the trash without being asked, So all of these habits, I kind of knew what to expect. And I think he would say the same for me. He knew I wasn't some slob. I knew he wasn't a slob. Like I said, we were just really happy to finally be together and be able to live together after we got married. It was such a blessing, and honestly just so much fun. And I was talking with Grant through these questions yesterday, and it just cracks me up because Grant is one of the easiest people to live with, but I also realize that I am extremely lucky that he is very clean and very considerate, and will help me do the dishes without me even asking him. Will switch the laundry over without me even asking him. He'll be the first to take out the trash or vacuum the floor. And I think it's things like that maybe people worry about living together, or clothes being left on the floor or cleanliness habits. I think that's a common thing that people have issues with living together, but I'm just so lucky that I don't have to deal with any. If anything, I'm the messier one, and I'm really not even that messy. But anyway, I understand that I'm really lucky in that aspect, that Grant is very neat and organized, and I love that so much about him. Short answer is no, I love living with Grant. Can you talk about your Ole Miss experience, feeling a little overwhelmed with choosing? I'm assuming this person means choosing schools. For me, I know I'm biased, but Ole Miss is the best school. I absolutely loved it. As y'all know, I am from Mississippi. I grew up in Jackson, so Jackson is about 2.5 hours away from Oxford, where Ole Miss is. Going to college, I had my older brother there. I had cousins there. I had friends there. I knew a lot of people there already. It felt like my home away from home, and I would not say my experience was easier because of that. College, has its challenges always, I think at any school, you're able to find your people if you put in the effort. I think, schools have every single kind of person. You will be able to find your people anywhere, but I just absolutely love Ole Miss, love Oxford, and I think Grant would say the same. He actually came from Minnesota. He did not know anyone at Ole Miss. He did not know a single soul, and he loved that because he was able to kind of have this clean slate. No one knows him, was kind of able to make a name for himself at Ole Miss. So I think we both have different perspectives coming from different places, meeting being at Ole Miss, we met our junior year of college. We both just think it's the best. So we're biased, but Ole Miss is the best. And not to sway you anymore, because I don't know what your college choices are, but my younger brother is at Mississippi State currently, and he and his friends do come to Oxford fairly often because there's a little bit better food scene, a little bit more going on. So, I'm just going to throw that out there. Oxford is just the best. And then piggybacking off of that, how was your rush experience? So like I mentioned, I had friends and family at Ole Miss, and so I definitely do think my rush experience was probably easier than most. I had 2 in-house cousins that were Chi Omegas, and that was the sorority I ended up choosing. I thought it was so fun, and I am a just huge advocate for going into the rush process blind. I think the more naive, the better. I think the less you know, the better. My mom actually went to SMU and was in a sorority, and so she knew like everything that was going on. She was talking with my aunts. She knew everything that was going on when I was being rushed, but she wouldn't tell me any of it. And I didn't know she was like withholding information. She was just like letting me do my thing and enjoying my time and meeting people and having conversations with everyone and just having a great time. And I just went in completely blinded, had a wonderful experience. I think these days people will do rush courses and have rush coaches, and you see all this stuff on TikTok, and you have these preconceived notions and these preconceived ideas in the back of your head, and I think that will just absolutely destroy you, destroy the experience, make you extremely anxious, no doubt. So I think going in blind, the less you know, the better, and I think that's one of the reasons why I had such a great experience too. Do you recommend having a roommate when newly moving to Dallas? I guess I don't really know, because Grant is the only roommate I've ever had. So, I mean, other than like in college, I guess if there was someone that you knew, you could split the rent. All of my friends that live here live by themselves. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know anyone who has a roommate. Yeah, I don't know anybody who has a roommate, but if that's something you wanted to do, I think it could be fun. If you knew the person, I wouldn't just pair up with a rando. Yeah, I guess that's my advice. How did you grow your following? Being extremely consistent. For me, since the beginning of my blog, I have taken it very seriously, put a lot of heart and effort and time into it, and I think there has not been one day from the time that I started that I have not showed up on social media in some way or form. I am on my Instagram stories every single day, and I think definitely staying consistent is the biggest tip I have, and I think the biggest attributor to my growth, because in January of this year, I had 27,000 followers on Instagram, and now in June, I'm at almost 110,000 followers. And I also just have to say that I've said this from the beginning of my blog, is that it's not about the numbers. It's not about the followers, it's about the true people that you have. Like, honestly, I prefer to have a smaller following. I think your engagement is better. You get to know people better when you have a smaller following, and that is valuable. Any amount, even when I had 15,000 followers, even when I had 1,500 followers, I was still doing brand deals, making money, having a profitable blog. It's just simply not. Now, brands are definitely looking at those big numbers, but you can't just rely on that. I think, like, I am very proud of my growth, but it also just feels like I still have, my small group of people, because those are the ones that are still showing up every day. Typically with a smaller following, you have better engagement. And so it's hard to manage both. It's hard to manage a larger following with keeping engagement up. It's definitely something that I am still learning. What are your plans for the next 3 years? Business, travel, and life. Don't I wish I knew the answer to that? Thank goodness. I, believe that God has got a way better plan for my life than I do. And I think in your 20s, you can only plan so much. There's so much unknown and so much we are still learning. I think in 3 years, I will be 27. I think by that time, I mean, who knows? I think we would like to be looking at buying a house in 3 years, hopefully. I know we would love to travel more in 3 years. I think right now we are still in like the grind stages where it's just easier to be here. You know, we're trying to save money. We have Remy who, you know, if we travel, we take her with us. And so we would definitely love to travel more in the next 3 years. And then life, who knows? I think maybe by that time we'd be thinking about having kids at 20 when I'm 27. I'm not sure, but like I said, it's all in God's hands. His will is better for my life than I could ever imagine, and I'm thankful for that every day, that I don't have to rely on the world, that I can rely on Him to handle all of those things, because it's definitely too much for me to handle. So I don't know if that was a great answer to that question, but my final answer is it's all up to God's plan. Okay, and that was all of the questions that I had for today. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments, or maybe if y'all really enjoy this video, I'll do another Q&A. I just think they're fun to sit down, and I feel like my YouTube people are like my core group of people, because I understand it is like a little bit more of a commitment to sit down and watch, you know, 8, 10 minute, 15 minute kind of video. So I appreciate you being here. Be sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.